Beyond Rife. Advances in the science of rife and the emerging bioelectric technology. PulsedTechnologies has been quite fortunate to be able to assemble a truly remarkable team of uniquely talented individuals. Mr. Jimmy Holman is the primary hub of the PulsedTechnologies design and research team. Mr. Holman has been exclusively involved since approximately 1969 in proprietary research and development in many areas of highly technical design and documentation, including electronic warfare, electronic surveillance, signal intelligence, exotic signal processing, advanced supercomputer development, exotic signal switching, and specialized studies for both domestic and foreign governments and agencies. While Mr. Holman has been researching resonant frequency technology since the early to mid-90s, his 35-plus year background in proprietary research and development has made for the logical, systematic development and documentation of the science, taking this technology to areas where it has not been before. Although Mr. Holman is based in Dallas, Texas, much of the proprietary work is being carried out abroad, specifically in Eastern Europe. Mr. Dornanu has been Mr. Holman's closest assistant in all aspects of the research and development, but himself brings unique and specialized skills to the organization. Paul is responsible for all software development and most technical support, as well as in charge of overseas production and liaison efforts in the European office in Bucharest, Romania. Paul is typically the primary contact for most folks. Mr. Dornanu is extensively involved in sales, planning, and many of the day-to-day operations. Paul is most heavily involved in the necessary software development and responsible for much of the technical support and interaction with users. Mr. Dornanu is the systems administrator for all our servers and responsible for the private RX research and exchange network being built among our international affiliates. Paul is the primary point of contact in the Eastern European area. Jim Holman Sr. also has a lifelong background history in advanced electronics and high-tech proprietary research and development. Jim is primarily involved with the technical design work of our most advanced components and systems. Since the late 90s, Jim and Jimmy, father and son, have been working closely to understand the electronic solutions to better utilize mechanisms of the technology in a logical and scientific manner. Florin Sirbu is most involved in production and supply logistics in the Eastern European office and assists wherever required. Shown here in the courtyard of his polyclinic in Eastern Europe, engineer Emil Godinu brings to the group the necessary experience of a close working relationship and constant communications between the technical equipment developer and the professional users. Emil is also the owner of a respected international medical equipment manufacturer in Eastern Europe. Dr. Godinu brings her vast medical experience, administrative background, and technical resources to the team, but most importantly, a critical and objective approach to determining newer and more effective protocols. Dr. Haltwanger is a valued consultant and participant in much of the technical documentation and theoretical work. Steve and Jimmy's extensive reference and knowledge base has been instrumental in describing in layman's terms the science of rife and bioelectric technologies, so that team members as well as the public can truly understand and communicate the unique problems and solutions this technology offers. Dr. Haltwanger's experience is exceptional in the areas of nutritional physics at the chemical and molecular levels, and especially via the use of mineral transporters. Dr. Haltwanger worked with Dr. Hans Nieper of Germany. Professor Trian Stanislescu is also a valued associate, lecturer, and prolific author of more than 24 books. Professor Stanislescu is providing much new and needed insight into the biophotonic and coherent light relationships. Team participants also include ophthalmologists, microbiologists, molecular biologists, numerous lab technicians and specialists, acupuncturists, massage therapists, and a number of both conventional and complementary practitioners in numerous parts of the world. The PulsedTechnologies team is continuing to develop strategic alliances with unique and qualified members of the technical and research community. The PulsedTechnologies team are very pleased to be participating members of the prestigious Eastern European Society of Bioenergetic Informational Medicine. This group shares many of our common concepts and ideals. This multinational team effort promises and has as its goals to investigate and describe in far more detail than has ever been done before the scientific mechanisms by which this technology accomplishes its tasks. The organization also strives to develop serious and responsible protocols by which it can be better applied, and to document in advance the art of the equipment itself into a form where it can be better made available in usable forms to practitioners and folks worldwide for their investigative research and applied uses. Science is but a perversion of itself unless it has, as its ultimate goal, the betterment of humanity. Nikola Tesla, 1919. What we now want is a closer contact and better understanding between individuals and communities all over the earth, and the elimination of egoism and pride. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment. Nikola Tesla. Many of the concepts embedded in the technology that has become known as Rife naturally began with Royal Raymond Rife. In the 1920s, Royal Rife operated a research laboratory in Point Loma near San Diego, California. The lab was one of the very best and most modern of its type during that time. Rife's research laboratory contained in-house microscopic photography, machining, as well as glasswork capabilities, allowing for the production and merging of specialized systems. The Rife Research Laboratory had capabilities still unrivaled to this day. However, it was Rife's genius with optics which allowed him to view living viruses. It was this crucial advance, utilizing his universal microscope, which allowed for the real-time viewing of reactions to outside electronic stimuli that made the technology and research possible. Rife would remove human known cancerous breast tumor tissue. He would then filter and isolate what he named the BX and BY virus, which he identified as being responsible for the cancer. Through trial and error, Rife would meticulously research and identify mortal oscillatory rates, MORS, for the target sample. Rife was able to view and record the live virus with the use of his universal microscope. He exposed the sample target to the mortal oscillatory rate, by use of his frequency device. And he witnessed the immediate devitalization and change of the live virus. Related to this, Rife was able to inject this same isolated virus in the test subject. This would induce the formation of the same type of tumor growth in the rat. The tumor could be biopsied, filtered, and the same type of live virus could be extracted from this tumor as well. These experiments repeated literally hundreds of times. The procedures Rife followed were clear and logical adaptations of Koch's postulate for bacterial determinations still used today, but also utilized the specialized capabilities unique to his own laboratory. The basic concepts of Rife's work, which could only have been done with Rife's universal microscope, clearly demonstrated the viral nature of cancers and that they could be destroyed or devitalized electronically either in vitro or in vivo via non-invasive means. The work Rife did by no means exclusively originated only with him. 20 to 30 years before Rife was seriously to begin his research near San Diego, Nikola Tesla was already well into and lecturing internationally on the benefits of therapeutic electromedicine. He had already designed equipment and circuits along with concepts which are remarkably like many of the procedures commonly used today. Here we see diagrams from Tesla's writings describing sterilization, electrosurgery, and whole-body heating, all methods commonly used today. These methods are admittedly well understood and accepted within the realm of today's science and medicine. Tesla became what many folks considered obsessed with the wireless delivery of power to remote locations based on resonant frequency. Some of the concepts of Rife technology may in fact utilize some of the mechanisms intended and previously discussed by Tesla, but neither understood or practiced at that time even up until present times, outside classified military or intelligence environments. Although Rife apparently never discussed many crucial technical aspects with some of his partners, there exists evidence that Rife was at least somewhat aware of Tesla and that Tesla illumination was a requirement for Rife's universal microscope. The basis for at least part of the technology itself may go back even further than Tesla. Most of us are well familiar with the Italian anatomist, physician, and surgeon Luigi Galvani's electrical stimulation and activation of frog legs with an electrical current during the latter half of the 18th century. Of great significance, few persons realized that what was largely forgotten was that the frog leg muscle could be stimulated at a distance by a spark produced by a static generator. While misunderstood then and underreported since, this simple concept is a very important foundation for some of the concepts of our area of study. Galvani also realized that at least some of the electricity he was observing was being generated within the tissues themselves. Galvani's historical experiments established the basis for the biological study of neurophysiology and neurology, and he is credited for largely creating the science of electrophysiology, the study of the connection between living organisms and electricity. The underlying science of what has become known as Rife technology is not new. Ironically, these predecessors probably all separately described important mechanisms by which current and future evolutions of equipment will rely, all being electric, all being frequency-based, the science of electromedicine. Regardless of the original source, it's clearly evident that the real emissions, most likely involved with our desired results, have to do with the technology and characteristics that were not known or well understood in the days they were first observed. Although Tesla, and probably Maxwell, was apparently aware of these other drastically different forms of oscillations, we are only today beginning to realize the significance of how these physics may be incorporated more efficiently and utilized. It's somewhat ironic that 18th century Faraday's experiments and Maxwell's mathematics formed the foundations for virtually all scientific discovery of the 20th century, and that their unpublished and misunderstood work is likely going to be the foundation of discovery for this 21st century. Some current pioneers in the underlying science, mathematics, and theory which are not only following up on previous pioneers' work, but extending it into understandable and usable forms are numerous. Most, however, are working outside the realms of practicing medicine. German biophysicist Fritz Albert Popp, father of biophoton theory, has been a leader in revelations of coherent light being emitted from the cells as a form of communication among the cells and their processes. A close advisor and associate is noted author and professor Traian Stanislescu. Professor Stanislescu is doing some very interesting work in the coherence of light and effects on biology at an energetic level. It is our position both Stanislescu's and Popp's coherent light and biophotonic work are extremely important in understanding the nature and mechanisms of cellular communication. And Dr. Konstantin Mayel. Professor Mayel is doing amazing work in describing and proving mathematically and by demonstration much of Maxwell's and Tesla's work, which was not understood in their day or since outside closed environments. It's most important to realize and understand that the technology has sound foundations in science and physics, even though it may not adhere to much of the myth, legend, propaganda, and hype that has often been associated with similar technologies. Even considering only conventional physics, there are still conventionally recognized mechanisms whereby direct electrical coupling, manipulations, and energy transfers can take place with known biological structure. Members of the PulsedTechnologies team are continuing to develop and make freely available technical content suitable for consideration by both the novice as well as the seasoned researcher. While most manufacturers have been content in simply trying to duplicate the equipment of Royal Rife or John Crane, or simply make a saleable piece of equipment targeting those in desperate need, the PulsedTechnologies team has diligently strived to uncover the underlying mechanisms, the physics, and the science to better produce equipment based on today's modern technologies. Legalities and science learned since that time. In most cases, the equipment used in Rife's days would be and is illegal to be used today, and justifiably so. At least some of the equipment being sold by less than scrupulous dealers blatantly and knowingly violates both federal and international laws in most cases. The consumer and ultimate violator is not even aware of the transgression or that they are legally responsible for that unwitting transgression. Because of this, PulsedTechnologies is choosing to work closely, primarily with health and research professionals who understand the complications, consequences, liabilities, and dangers associated with shortcuts, and instead have chosen the longer, safer, more diligent route to be able to help assure the eventual end recipient is able to receive the best protocol, treatment, or equipment available for this fascinating area of work. An educated consumer is a great consumer. PulsedTechnologies is focused on three key areas of overlapping equipment design: PFG, Precision Function Generator for accurate waveform generation; P3, Precision Pulse Plasma, Plasma Driver and Plasma Tube; PFG Lab, specialized software to incorporate the devices in a manner suitable for a wide variety of user and custom applications. Accurate computer-controlled waveform generation is currently best accomplished with PulsedTechnologies PFG. Without question, the PFG-1 is PulsedTechnologies' most popular product. While designed to be a very versatile, arbitrary waveform function generator, suitable for any sort of EM, bare Rife, or P3 plasma device, it also works with your PC as a very high-quality precision contact device. The included software integrates with known frequency reference lists for convenient conversion into usable wave sequences with professional scripting and editing capabilities. Sequence status, including visual waveform indication, is also displayed on the computer control panel. For critical research needs, a digital spectrum analyzer oscilloscope is also available. All controls are via on-screen graphical interface. Although Mr. Holman has been associated in the past as the developer of the original PPET technology, PulsedTechnologies' latest work exhibits itself in the P3 Precision Pulse Plasma. The typical P3 plasma driver configuration utilizes the PFG Precision Function Generator as a control device to provide a professional operating experience with precision suitable for operation in an unlimited variety of professional research areas and applications. Extensive efforts have been invested in special fail-safe circuitry to protect the system from accidental abuse and to help assure the equipment is not damaged by improper operation. Other than a rear-mounted power switch, there are no other user controls. The P3 requires the use of the PFG for operation and control. The matching of these two units makes for an unbeatable combination. The P3 Pro is PulsedTechnologies' most advanced development available only to practitioners and serious researchers. Waveform generation is incorporated inside the unit, no need for separate components, and may be easily transported. PFG Lab, developed completely in Eastern Europe, is our new standard for control, sequencing, and management. The PFG Lab has been the result of extensive feedback from technicians, practitioners, and end users worldwide. It will also be the foundation for our next generation of devices. PFG Lab Interface provides an easy yet versatile session management, control, and editing of scripts and script library management. Import and export capabilities are provided via XML formats. PFG Lab Player allows easy use of pre-made or provided scripts or protocols for the user's library or provided by the end user's practitioner. The player requires minimal knowledge by the user for practical operation. The next generation PFG2 line of waveform devices, like the original PFG, have outputs for both contact and radiant plasma applications, and will also utilize the same suite of PFG Lab software for personal or professional use. More research is needed. We've chosen Eastern Europe for much of the staging ground for this and other areas of development. Research, microscopes, and specialized methods of plasma application are currently being experimented with. New methods of calculation are proven to be very important, and this information is being instrumental in the development of specific protocols, and equally important to other areas as well, merging with seemingly unrelated but assuredly scientifically identical processes. The technology and equipment is by no means limited to health and wellness. We've identified these areas of interest as well: chemical and molecular engineering, industry and manufacturing, water purification, decontamination, home and building restoration, archaeology, biosafety, art and historical preservation, aerodynamics and propulsion, agriculture, food processing, environmental improvement, electronic drug delivery enhancement, signal, sensing masking, stealth, phase conjugation, energy enhancement, nuclear waste remediation.